Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Lighten Up podcast. I'm Ella.
I'm Sonia.
Hi, and I'm Ariana. And today is our second episode. So, welcome back, like Ella said. Just as a little recap, if you haven't seen it, make sure to go back and watch our first episode. In that episode, it's not our usual vibe in a sense. Today's episode is going to be a little different, but it was really important to kind of have that first episode because it explains to you guys our background, why we're doing this, where the Lighten Up podcast comes from, kind of our history, and also it explains some of the wording that we use in the podcast, such as light and dark. So if you haven't seen it, make sure that you go back, watch it. You guys can kind of understand, again, like I said, why we're doing this, but also most importantly, our wording, which if you haven't seen it might be a little confusing, but obviously you'll probably catch on.
Yeah.
So anyways, I think we're going to start. Like I said, again, this episode's going to be a little different than the first episode because the first episode was just laying the groundwork. But this episode and going on is going to really be focusing on the light and what gives us light, and hopefully it'll bring you guys light as well, and we can all share it together. So, Mom, I think you can start it off.
Sure. Well, we're just on a journey, a magical, mystical journey, where we're just trying as much as possible throughout our lives to find anything and everything that allows us to stay positive and stay focused on all the beauty and the happiness and the joy that's in the world. And because, again, as we mentioned before, there is a lot happening in our world, and there's a lot of amazing, beautiful things, and there's some things that aren't, that tend to, like we mentioned before, fall in the dark. So this is all about light and happiness, because we feel there could be a lot more light in the world and a lot more happiness in the world. And so that's what we're personally challenging ourselves to do, is to focus on finding light every day and focusing on that. And I actually thought maybe I'll share a story of how this kind of came about for me, this realization, which was a really cool experience with my son. When I was walking home from school one day, he knew I was writing a book, and he was like, "Mom, let me take a picture of me so I can be on the cover of your book." And so I was like, "Sure, of course." So I took the picture. And we live in a really amazing area, and it's in the mountains, and we have nature all around us, and very blessed. And we were he was standing above a tunnel that kind of runs underneath our road, that feeds the water from one side of our lake into the other side of our lake. And so he's standing on top of the tunnel, and I'm looking and I'm taking a picture of him, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. I said, "Jump down here real fast." And so he jumps down, and I said, and I'm looking through this tunnel, and on the other end of the tunnel, there's like a light, but the beginning of the tunnel, when he stands there, it's really dark. And I said, "Hey buddy, run to the other side of the tunnel. I'm going to video you." And I said, "It'll look really cool," because he's like really big. And then as he runs through the tunnel, I thought this would be a really cool effect. So he does that, and I'm videoing him, and it was the coolest thing, because in the beginning of the tunnel, it was super dark. But then as he started running towards the light on the other side of the tunnel, as he got closer to the light, of course, more light came to him on the other side. And then ultimately, as he ran all the way through, he disappeared into the light. And I was like, what? This is so cool, because in that moment, I realized this is what enlightenment's about, I think, in my mind. And it's about, like, no matter what happens in life, if there's darkness around you, if you're in a tunnel, for instance, and it feels really dark, find the light wherever it is, focus on that light, and walk towards that light. And every step you take towards that light, more light will come into your life. You'll be surrounded with more light until you keep walking in that direction. And ultimately, you will be completely immersed in light. And actually, ultimately, what I watched my son do, become light. And it was just one of those profound moments. And it's what made me realize that no matter what's happening in our world, no matter how dark or upsetting things might be, to find the light. And what a fun challenge to say, what if we tried to hold that vibration, that light, happy vibration all the time? And right now it's so fun because the holidays really, I think, encapsulates that. And it really is all about staying happy and staying positive and, kicking it off with Thanksgiving in America, which we love. And then now we're going into the very spiritual holidays, which is all about connecting with self and finding that joy and that peace from within and celebrating it, whatever religion you happen to celebrate, but really focusing on honoring peace and happiness and joy and everything that brings that. And so it's pretty awesome right now. It's magical. I feel the magic is definitely in the air. As you can see, we have some of our decorations up already and really enjoying the holidays right now. And I was thinking, because as we're doing this podcast, we're inspiring ourselves to think of things that we can share with each other as to what happened with our week, what things brought us light, what things brought us joy. And just now, that memory of that with my son and how powerful that was, and helping me to understand my purpose and focus, and being able to share that with my girls is something that brings me so much joy and happiness. So what about you girls? How's your week been?
Ella, do you want to start off, or I can start off?
Yeah, sure, I'll start off. Well, my week's been good. Let me think. I think one of probably my favorite things that I did was, well, one, I got back into working out, which is really nice because I've kind of had a bit of a lull. So it's nice to get back and kind of get back into that consistency and that little like routine, which I really like. And then also yesterday was the first day of the season I went skiing. Well, we all went skiing. So that was a lot of fun. And it was really nice to get back on the mountain and just get back to doing something I love that's nice and active.
Yeah. Our family we've been skiing, like all of us, since we were little, except for my dad, who he grew up in Bermuda, so snow wasn't really around him. But my mom and dad put Ella and I into skiing when I think I was 3 years old. Ella was 3 years old as well, 2 or 3, very early. And we just loved it, never stopped. We've been on our local mountains ski team, and we've traveled all around for skiing. And yeah, it's been a really big part of connecting as a family. It's always been like a family sport, a family activity for us. So doing it the first time for the season yesterday as a family was really nice, especially since it's kind of a new season for us since our dad. But it was also just so nice, and the weather was awesome, and the slopes were fun. It was so beautiful. So yeah, that was a really fun time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The weather was really hot. It was very beautiful, but it was really hot. It was not typical skiing conditions, but it was still really fun. The perfect first day, because I feel like as a first day you wouldn't really want it to be all like snowy and stormy. So it was perfect. But also something that I'm really excited for is I got an interview to be a ski coach. So that's exciting. I have an interview next week, which I'm really excited for and super grateful for that opportunity.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I had a really fun week. So my titre de séjour, like my basically, I don't know how to explain it. It's like if you get a student visa in France, which I have because I'm American and I study in France, so I have to have a student visa. If you get a visa, then you go to basically the French consulate, and you have to go to your school and everything, and you have to apply for a titre de séjour. And
I have no clue what she's saying when she says that.
it's like it's
it sounds really
like
cool
the
though.
only way I can explain it is
Say
like
it again.
it's titre de séjour. It's like a residency card. It is a residency card, but I don't really think Americans like we have residency cards, do we? I don't know.
A
Yeah,
green card.
well, we
Yeah,
have
I think
green
that's
cards,
it.
but it's not a green card. I feel like it's different than a green card. That's my thing. Anyways, besides the point. But my titre séjour expired, and so I came home over the summer, and I had no way to get back. And I have to finish my studies. I have only a few credits left, so I have to go back. Um, but I'm so excited because I just went to the VFS office, which anyone who's has ever tried to get a French visa knows exactly what that office is. Um, and I got approved and they have my passport and I'm so excited. Like, anyways, that was such a big thing for me because that means in January I'm able to fly back, go back to what I consider like my life, like my actual life that I my college life. And so yeah, that's happening. And it was just such a relief and also just like feeling really grateful because it can be such a difficult process, but throughout the entire process that it was happening, like having to fill out documents after documents and like taking a photo of every page in my passport because they want to know everywhere I've been, like all of that. Like throughout all of it, I was like, you know what? It's going to be fine. I'm not going to take it like too seriously because the first time I did it, it was like, we have to make sure everything's perfect. So you that
It was
if you
also
get
COVID.
exactly,
It
it was
was
also
COVID when we were
COVID,
doing it.
yeah, which was
Just
insane. And
yeah.
so like it was such a
But you also
process in
throughout this
itself.
process, it's been fun watching because you've just been like, I think what you're about to say is that you've been more relaxed with it.
Yeah.
You've just, and your mentality around it has been so calm and just like, you know what, and just I've got to do this and this and this, and
Yeah.
maybe because you've done it before, but it's been fun to watch. And then it's been shocking how smooth it's been for you. Like, I'm like,
Exactly. That's the thing.
wow.
I'm so grateful for it. And honestly, I really do. I'm like saying that I'm honestly feel like it's because of how like calm I've been, but it hasn't been like that I'm calm. It's just like me holding my light, like keeping like the positivity around it, not stressing too much. Like I'm like, if I fill this paperwork out wrong, they're gonna let me know and they're gonna bring it back to me and stuff and it'll be fine. Like I'm not like, oh my gosh, like I'm freaking out. But every single step I've taken has been kind of filled with light and just being like, okay, this is going to happen. And I've just received great news over and over again throughout the process, which I'm really grateful for. And that's something that was really big that happened over this week. I'm so happy.
I think something else that in watching it that I think I can say confidently that we're all working on, and I think it's something that everyone needs to work on, is trusting. That's
Yeah,
like just
so
genuinely saying, I'm going to trust that this is however it's going to happen is supposed to happen, even if it doesn't happen the way I'm expecting it to happen. I'm going to trust that that's because it was supposed to not happen that way. And it's really magical once you start to really truly believe that, not pretend and not be like, okay, sure. I also like to call and refer to, and the girls know this, the universe as the YOU universe, because we're all creating our own stories with our thoughts, and what we believe is what we'll receive, and your mentality creates your reality. I mean, we've heard all of it. We've done The Secret, all of that stuff, which is absolutely amazing. But I feel like the trust is kind of the last part that is the real test. Like, do you really trust? Like, when things go wrong, do you still trust that it's right?
yeah,
Because if you do that, then you can continue to stay in the light. You can continue to say, all right, I don't know why, but the universe, my universe, has created this, and it's okay. And once you start doing that, it's really cool because a lot of amazing things continue to happen. And all of a
yeah,
sudden, it seems a lot of times things go really smoothly. So
yeah.
it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, it's been fun to
Surprising.
experience.
Yeah, surprising. Yeah. So, yeah. Another thing I was thinking, I woke up this morning again, and in the morning, I let the dogs out. They kind of, sit right in my face. You feel their breath on your face. Like, oh, you have to go to the bathroom. Okay. So what's cool with mine is I get up and I have a door from my bedroom that goes outside, and it overlooks the lake. And so this morning, dog breath in the face. Okay, I got to get up. So I get up and I opened the door, and oh my God, it was the most beautiful sunrise. And I just stood out there for a few minutes, shocked at how warm it was. It's kind of like, because we could use more snow, but mixed feelings because it was warm and that was nice. But I stood outside about 5:30 this morning, and I could just see the whole world kind of waking up with the sun rising, and it was that cotton candy sky, where it's like pink and blue, and it's like how I don't even know how that happens in the air and what creates that. And like I could hear the birds waking up and with the ducks kind of landing in the water, and I just was like, wow, like wow, this is so beautiful. And again, I think I said this in the last podcast, and I'll probably say it a ton more times, but how great is nature? I mean,
Oh my God,
it
yeah.
just at any time you can find such peace and happiness. I find, at least, with nature, no matter what's going on in your life or in the world. And so I just take so much solace and joy and bliss. And that's what came to me this morning, is like how blissful it was at that hour and how that's there every day. And I then thought, bliss, what an interesting word. And and then I sat kind of thinking about, what's the difference between bliss and love, or what makes something blissful? And I kind of my personal thought,
It's
but I'd
such
like,
a beautiful word.
I know, right? I think just saying it, like when you think of the word bliss, like, wow, like I recommend this week, think of it often and think of like, what does bliss mean to me? It's a word we don't use that often.
It's like a delicate word.
Mhm.
It feels like fallen snow. Like when
Yeah.
a snow is falling and it's just like
Bliss.
like bliss.
And it's I feel like, I don't know if it's a level up from love or if it's but it's different from love. And I was like, what? It's just bliss. And so I thought, I'm curious, like, you girls are younger than me. What does bliss mean to you? And it's a word that I don't think people use a lot, but I just feel like it's got such beautiful energy around it. Ella, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I love the word bliss. I think blissful is such like a cool description word. I think that it is very different from love, and I can't like fully put my finger on it, but it feels almost like more individual than love.
That's exactly what I thought.
Really?
I swear. I was like, it's like an individual experience.
Yeah,
Whereas
well,
love
like,
is like a relationship.
love is like a relationship, and you can have love within yourself. Like, you don't need other people for that. Like, obviously loving yourself, you need to love yourself in order to love others. But bliss, it feels almost like a just a more individual thing. And it's not necessarily that love is like a duality thing, that it needs two in order for you to experience love. But bliss, it just feels very like untouched.
Well,
Like
I
very just like individual, like, oh, that's blissful, or like, I feel blissful. You're very at like peace with yourself.
well, I also feel like people that are like in love will be like, "Oh, I'm feeling so much bliss with my life." Like, also I feel like I'm saying it so many times, bliss, bliss.
Bliss,
It's like
it's not a word.
It's just not starting to sound
bliss.
yeah.
It feels like it
bliss.
should be like one of Santa's reindeer's name.
Well,
Blitzen.
Blitz,
Right,
yeah.
that's what it is.
But I feel like something like
What are his reindeer's name anyway?
On Dasher, on
Bliss should
Dancer,
definitely be
on Dasher, on Dancer, on Prancer, on Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid,
don't
on
know.
Donner, on Blitzen. Is that it? Was that 8?
I think I have no clue.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying that I think love can create a lot of feelings, and I think love can create bliss, where if you're feeling like bliss, you might not be feeling love. Well, obviously you're feeling love for yourself and stuff, but like if I'm feeling just like happy and content with myself, which then I would be like, oh, I'm feeling like full of bliss. I wouldn't be like, oh, I guess I would say I'm full of love then as well. I don't know. It's very
Love just feels
interesting.
more like intense to me. Not that love is like intense, but love is like a love.
Yeah.
Love's like, it's chunky.
Love's
it's like
medium.
love.
Bliss
Lo-
is like
Bliss is like,
floaty.
whoa,
Yeah.
love.
Bliss, bliss.
It's
And
like it's less
also-
more, it's less heavy. There's like less pressure on it, I
And
feel.
also, I feel like
Not to
love-
like be bashing love or anything,
Oh,
because
no,
love's
no.
great.
No, but I also feel like with love, there's so many other emotions around love. There's so much like like you can be in love and you can be like wanting and yearning, which can also like people like explain how they're like, oh God, like I'm in love. And like you hear these like novels and these movies and stuff, and it's like it's kind of like an aching feeling, wanting
Me-
someone, like being in love like that. Like it can be so passionate.
Mm,
And
interesting.
then also love can be like love, like
What if
I love
bliss
you.
is the extreme, like the
It's
the
like the
icing
positive
on
of
top of
love.
love?
Yeah.
You know. But what's interesting is then there's bliss that's associated with like intimate relationships too, like that people will say that, you know, that's blissful. So then there's that. But because I mean, it's interesting. I would say for me, I've heard it associated more with that type of a situation than
With like
with
intimacy?
yeah.
Really?
Hmm.
I've never heard that. I didn't even, I mean, like, obviously there's like,
With the O.
it's a certain,
The O.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I've never, I mean,
Anyway, that's my generation. I feel what it kind of took bliss and associated with that more than it did with just general
yeah,
nature.
I feel
and
like our
stuff. But
generation,
your
you just like,
generation,
we don't even talk
you guys
about
even-
bliss. Like, we
bliss
don't even
doesn't
use,
even
it's not like even in like the normal vocabulary. Like, no, like, person in their 20s, at least as far as I know, I've never heard a person in their 20s go, you know what, I woke up this morning feeling so blissful.
Yeah. No, it's like one of those things like
I did
you
though,
know
for real.
with AI, how like people how like you can figure out if someone's used AI because there's certain words that AI uses that have just like people don't really use in everyday speech. And even if you were writing like an extreme academic essay, you wouldn't really be using those words. That's what bliss is, I feel like. Where it's like that word is like, yeah, you know what? Like you're right, that word does explain that situation, but only like a computer or someone from a different time period would be using it
Right.
because it's not in the
I don't
current
want-
day vocab.
I didn't want to look up the definition of it because I didn't want to have preconceived notion because I was like, it just came to me this morning and I had that. It was a blissful morning this morning. I had that experience. Just looking out and like
Full of
it just the cotton candy sky and the birds landing in the water and just the world waking up was very blissful to me. But I'm curious again, I really kind of feel like it's a generational thing I'd be so curious of what your generation sees or would consider or would sit in a moment and go, this is bliss. You know, I wonder, this is it. This is that
I got
blissful
it.
moment.
I think that like, at least for me personally, obviously I can't speak for my entire generation. Crazy. But haven't done enough surveys to do that. I feel like when I hear bliss, I think of Christmas. Like
I was
bliss
about to say it
makes
reminds
me feel like it's Christmas. Like you know, when you like, I've used this analogy or like this example quite a few times with just you guys because it's just a feeling that I love so much. When it's like in the middle of the night and you like kind of like creep downstairs and like the whole house is lit up just by the Christmas tree lights and like it's just like the magic that's like around and that's in the air, that feels like bliss to me.
No, I was about to say, because Mom, when you were asking, like, what do you think of the word itself? The first thing that comes to me is the holidays. It's such a holiday word, it feels like. It's the same thing. It's like a more extreme word than joy. Because you know how, like, people use joy all the time for the holidays, like, literally the song, like, Joy to the World. And I don't feel like people really use joy either in their vocab. Like, they're not gonna be they're not gonna wake
Joy,
up.
I feel joy is much more common than
Yeah,
bliss.
I think that's why I'm saying. I think that, but I feel like,
I could totally wake up one morning and say I feel joyful.
yeah,
You know,
but
that feels tangible.
yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, I feel like bliss is a more extreme version of joy. Like we don't really use joy, but we really, really don't use bliss, sort of thing.
All right, so here's my question. My intrigue is if you were this week to have a blissful experience happen, and you were to,
Maybe one that's not involving the big O.
create something like this. Exactly.
I mean, good for you. If like you're having that blissful experience as well. But
Other than that, what would it be? How can you associate that with something? And it's interesting because you know what I love about this? I love games like this because it forces you to sit and go, well, is this experience blissful? Because it's obviously, if you're thinking of it, it's got to be a pretty amazing experience. You're like, oh, or is this one blissful? Or with this one? But all of them, no matter what, you're thinking on a very high vibrational level of really awesome stuff. And so, it's just maybe this week, even thinking like, as you go about your week, at the end of the week, what would be the one thing that you would say that experience was the closest to bliss that I experienced this week? I think that would be a fun thing to do, to try to challenge yourself and to kind of look for that light. And I definitely see light and bliss together, though. I see that they're very, the feeling and the vibration around them are, in fact, I see them almost like pure light, that pure divine light, if you will, I think is the same vibrational level as bliss. Like the ding, like if light had that sound, that perfect crisp crystal sound, that's what bliss is. And what's really fun is I actually, when I find that I feel blissful the most, it's when I'm meditating. Like if I'm going to a deep meditative state, I am floating. It's so beautiful. And what's really interesting with that is my eyes are closed. And I'm not looking at anything tangible or anything that's in my world so much. I'm experiencing this very profound, peaceful inner experience. And where there's almost no words that can explain it, but bliss feels like it might, just touch upon that. And I love that. And I don't know if people, meditation is something everyone does or not, but for me, I get a lot of bliss from my meditation practice. I love that. It's really nice.
yeah. Oh, kind of talking about making what makes you happy and makes you feel full of bliss.
Mhm.
I wanted to share with you guys something that I saw. This was like probably a week or two ago. It happened in November, but I just heard about it. There's something that I think is really cool that they researchers and explorers found in the Pacific Ocean, and it is a huge coral reef, and it's not even like a reef; it's a giant coral, and it's so big. It's one piece. It's one organism. It's over 300 years old. It's been growing for over 300 years, and it is so big that you can see it from space. It is that big. It's ginormous, and it's basically a bunch. I don't really know exactly how coral works, so please don't please don't stone me with this, but
It's alive. So that's
I do
when you
know,
said that.
yeah.
So that's
Well,
great.
no, but it's like apparently, because I've read one or two things on it, and one was like it's just one giant piece of coral, like it's huge, and it's been growing for 300 years. And another thing I read was also that it's just like a bunch of microorganisms, like living organisms combined together with one like kind of mind in a sense. Like, well, obviously not a mind, it's like a living plant,
Right.
um but yeah,
That's awesome.
it's, and the most cool thing is that, so a lot of coral reefs, like the Great Barrier Reef, and just coral reefs all throughout the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean, all throughout the world, have been struggling a lot with just the rising temperatures of the oceans,
Right.
just due to the climate change and stuff. But because this coral reef is down so deep into the ocean, that it's actually it hasn't been harmed at all by the changing temperatures, and it's
Oh, that's
completely fine.
amazing.
And it's a huge, like, it's giving marine biologists, just people in the industry, and also just normal people like me, so much hope, because it's like there's still, like, our planet, there's a lot of stuff that's been happening with it, with greenhouse gases and all that stuff, but our planet is still creating beautiful life and it's still there, and it's like, no, we're okay, it's okay,
Oh,
like
I love
there's still this
that.
amazing thing. And yeah, it's so like they just found it.
I love that.
Like
I
they
love the
just,
hope that
yeah,
it's giving them hope.
it's
Hope is
giving so
awesome.
like literally like the article that I was reading about it literally says, starts with, this is giving hope to so, and it like goes on to like people that it's just, it's crazy that we found this and that it's intact and that it's healthy and it's 300 years old. It's been growing for so long and it's
That's
still, and it's
amazing.
freaking huge. You can see it from space. It's that big.
That's
Like
amazing.
it's just something that's really cool.
Yay.
Yeah. Also,
Yay.
it made me think of dad as well. As I said at the beginning, or when we were talking about the skiing thing, like my dad loved the ocean. And so I was like, this is just so cool. This is like a little fun, like, oh, look, like it's doing well. Like we're doing well. It's okay.
I wonder how they just found it if they could see it from
If
space,
it's freaking huge.
Yeah, like I mean like I feel like that would kind of be something that would catch the attention of
Yeah.
some people, like a massive thing in the ocean.
I wonder.
What, maybe they were seeing a section of it and they're like, oh, that's just a coral reef bed. But then they started realizing lower down this was all connected. I bet it was probably something like that. Because, like you said, it was all connected, like, this one massive brain or,
Yeah.
organism. And the fact that it went so low that they didn't realize that it's all, one.
Well, also, it was one of those things that when I was reading it, and again, this is me just like speculating, I was like, I wonder if they're saying that it's so big that if it were on like the surface of, that they'd be
Then they would
able to
see
see
it
it
in
because
the
it's
moon.
that big.
Right.
Or if it's like, no, we can literally
I bet
see
it's
it.
that.
I think it
I
was
bet it's that. Because if you could see it, yeah. I mean,
because it's under it's
but they
really
have
deep
cameras
under
that can see more than our eye can see from the moon. So I don't know.
yeah.
Anyway,
But
it's
it's
big.
yeah,
It's really big.
It's huge. You should
Really.
Google it. You should look at it. I'll show you guys a photo of it. It's really cool. Like it
Aw,
looks really
that's-
cool. And
And that feeds so much of our planet. Like
exactly.
everything comes from the ocean that then, it's just so cool. We're all connected. We
Yeah.
are all so connected. And I truly believe, and I know this is controversial, but I like to believe that our planet's just fine. I know that there's a lot going on, but I like to believe that we that moving forward we can continue to try to be better humans as best as we can, and we can continue to come together and do what's right for our planet, and that it's going to be okay.
Believing that
We have to believe
save.
that we can do this to
Mhm.
be able to do it. We have to believe, believe to receive,
Mhm.
and we just have to start believing that there's ways that we can make our world and our planet amazing. And if stuff's gone wrong in the past, okay, we can fix it. We can, forgiveness is great. The earth will forgive us, I believe, but we have to start doing it right, of course. But I believe that, yeah, I believe that I believe our planet can be forgiving to past mistakes that we've made as humans, and there's been a lot of them, but they're mistakes, and I think we're learning.
Yeah.
And I do think that we're getting better and starting to understand. I don't think way back when we really did understand some of the stuff we were doing that was really hurting, and some people might have understood. Obviously there are some people that just didn't care, but I like to believe that it's not too late, that we can make a difference. I
Yeah.
really do believe so.
I think it was interesting as well what you said, how like it just like feeds the ocean and it's helping the ocean so much. I was talking to this couple and the woman was from Lithuania, I think. I'm totally forgetting. I'm really sorry. But and it was just interesting because I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm from California." And their eyes just got really big and they looked at each other and they're like, "Do they have kelp forests there?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it was just something again like how we have giant kelp forests off our coast. And
They also
it's
have bioluminescent algae, which is like crazy.
but like with these kelp forests, like it's crazy what they do for the environment. And when I mean the environment, I don't mean just like the ecosystem around it. I'm talking about like for our environment as well. Like it absorbs so much carbon from the air. Like it's an underwater forest and it absorbs so much carbon that we emit, and it's insane. And it was just so cool because like I never realized kind of how cool it was until like these people who have never been to California, never seen the kelp forest, they're like, oh, have you seen, like, do you know what it is? Have you seen? I'm like, yeah, it washes up on the beach like like it's the really long
Oh,
seaweeds that have like, yeah. And so I was like,
totally know about that.
yeah. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, anyways,
yeah.
so I just wanted to, because you brought that up and I was like, yeah, it's so cool. Kind of just,
I
what
just love the
nature
fact
is
that they
doing.
associated that with California rather than all the other things.
All
that
the
could-
other things.
There's
in
a lot,
Yeah.
but that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So-
And what you were saying, the bioluminescence, that's the waves. Is that I want to see that sometime. That
Yeah,
would be,
no, it's really cool. I think it's like in March or May, or May or March. It washes up mainly down in like San Diego area, but yeah, and like the waves light up, and then the sand, it like sinks into the sand. So if you move the sand around with your fingers, the like light up will follow. It's really cool.
I've seen it on videos and stuff.
Yeah.
And you guys went once to try to get to see it.
We
right?
went to try and find it, but we weren't able to see it. It was too late in the season.
It's tricky, right?
Yeah.
This is not an advertisement for California, but if you like the ocean, you should come.
One thing that's really cool about what you were saying, Mom, about how like kind of like if we just do the right thing, then we could help out with like the planet and stuff. Something that I saw a little bit ago was that with like human or with animal trafficking, like wild animal trafficking, how obviously horrible that is, but something that's really cool that they've started doing is they've started using rats as like little as like identifiers with like traveling, and they have backpacks. The rats have little backpacks.
Oh my god.
And so here, wait 1 minute.
Okay, well, let me, while you're looking for
Here, I have
that,
hope.
side, very important point of this conversation, we have a rat. His name's Timothy, and he's awesome. And I think we
He's
need
really
to get him.
cute.
I think we need to get him.
He's
a
our little
backpack.
brother's rat. But
Yeah,
so
we're big
basically-
animal lovers here.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of animals throughout our life, and we still have a lot of animals here. Maybe we'll show the rat one day.
So basically, African giant pouched rats. So it's a type. They're big rat. They're like really big. They're more of the size of like a hamster.
Maybe a guinea pig, because
Mm.
guinea pigs are kind of.
No, like a hamster.
Hamster's not much bigger than a rat. I think you're a guinea
Maybe
pig.
a guinea pig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
guinea pig.
So they're more like the size of like a guinea pig. They're
Uh-huh.
big rats, but they wear backpacks and they've been trained as like similar to like gun dogs in the
Because
airports.
the rats are so
Yeah,
smart.
they've been trained to recognize the scent of illegal wildlife that are being transported and trafficked, and they've saved like the numbers are staggering.
So I don't know if you know all about it, but like, are they walking them on a leash? They have them in a pocket. They got them on their shoulder.
So they
like, what are they?
they have
just running through the luggage, probably.
they run through the lug. Well, not
Oh.
necessarily like just running loose because
Right.
that's not safe, but they have in certain places where like really 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 bad animal trafficking is like
Yeah.
around, especially like around Africa and stuff,
Yeah.
because it's mainly primarily the scent that they have like been taught to recognize is elephant tusks and rhino horns.
Yeah.
And so like they've been trained to like identify that scent, and then they
Mhm.
can smell it on the person even if the elephant tusk or the rhino horn isn't
No, it's like
near
a drug sniffing.
exactly, isn't like they don't like actually have it in their luggage. They the little rats are able to identify them, but they have these backpacks, and like the backpack is attached to like a not quite like a leash, but you know those retractable leashes things,
Yeah,
like they're
yeah.
retractable, like you know when you have like a little ID card
Yeah.
and like the pull
it's like
thing.
that. It's almost like a wire.
It's yeah,
It's super
exactly.
skinny,
It's like
yeah.
that, and like they're attached to the person who's like in charge of them, but they run around, and then the person who's in charge of them can call them back. But they
I
like
love that.
Hmm?
They have a switch.
By the way, I don't know if you guys know, but we haven't really, I don't know if we discussed this last time, but Ella is studying to be a veterinarian.
Yeah, I
and
think
so
I think we touched on
she's
it
a big
briefly.
animal lover, and
Yeah,
that's why she has
yeah.
all these
But they
fun
have a
animal
little they have a
information.
little like button that they press if they like
Find
if they find
Oh
something.
my gosh, that is
So
And
it
so, like-
alerts them of the.
Yeah, and then it like I think some of them have like a thing that they can like put on it. So like if they press the button and then they like bump it, then like a tracker goes on that bag or something. So then the rat just runs back because obviously the rat can't like arrest
And that's
anyone.
here in America that's happening? Or
No, it's mainly
mo-
it's in like
international.
international areas.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Did you actually were telling me a story about a few weeks ago about about the rats and the motorcycles or something?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I know a lot of stories about rats. Like
Rats are cool.
yeah, there's kind of they got the idea, the animal like rats sniffing animals that are being transported illegally. They got the idea from rats that were trained to find people, survivors of earthquakes, because rats are really small, so they can go into the rubble.
Yes.
And what they did is they basically just strapped a tiny walkie-talkie, a radio, to the rat, and so they would like go to the rat. The rat would go and try and find people, but someone was listening to the walkie-talkie, so if they heard someone like kind of
Right. Oh my
speaking or
God, that's so
breathing
cool.
under the rubble, then they would know
That's amazing.
where to get it. But yeah, the other story that I was talking to my mom about was, I'm totally forgetting the university, but they created like little race cars for rats to drive, which is just adorable. And I don't know why they did it. I need to read more on it, but they created these race cars that are like these little cars for the rats to drive, and they realized that just like a human, before they would actually take off, like the rats would actually like start driving the car, the rats would rev the engine. Like
That's hilarious.
and so they
Oh yeah.
they like
What's up, essay?
so they would like rev the engine and then they would take off. But I
I want to get.
Yeah.
We need to get a car. We need to get a car for
Yeah.
Timothy. He needs
and a
car.
backpack.
And a backpack. Seriously.
So when we bring Timothy the rat out, we put him on like some of our tables and stuff, and
We wash them afterwards.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's very
it's very
cleanly.
clean,
It's a cleanly
but
environment.
we like to
But
give him
he likes to
free roam.
explore. Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's like a free range chicken. But but the other day it was my mom and I, we were playing with him, and there was one of our little brother's backpack, his like little, like it was like a really light drawstring, and it was on the table, and Timothy, he's like walking around, and then somehow we like look away for probably like a minute or something, we're just talking, and then we turn back and look at him, and he's got himself wrapped up in the backpack, like the backpack strap was over his shoulder and like looped around him.
Yeah.
And we're like, do you want to wear a backpack, Timothy?
It's really cute. He's very cute. Animals bring so much happiness
Yeah.
and so much joy to our lives. We have 2 dogs, and our family had to have, as a family, we have 2 dogs. And then Ella just got a puppy. And so she's been training her puppy, and it's been really nice.
She's
Our
the best.
eldest dog is in human years. She's 10, so she's 70. So she's getting to be a little older, but she's a
Did you know that
Catalua.
that's actually a myth?
Is it?
That it's 7 years. It's just entirely weight based.
Oh, yeah, you said something about this. So if they're heavier,
If they're heavier, they're older.
they'll age faster then,
Yeah.
in theory.
hmm
And that makes
So
sense
if
to
they're-
humans then.
That's why like smaller animals,
Ah.
smaller
Well,
dogs
she's
live
a little,
longer.
she's on the larger side.
She's probably like around 78. She's closer to 80
Yeah.
than she is 70 because
she's amazing though.
direct, like if they're like a smaller dog between like 0 and 25 pounds, if that's like how big they are, then the 7 years is applicable. But if it's like anything higher, then it goes like 7.2, 7 point. So it's
We'll bring them on sometime. We'll show you all of our
we'll do a little animal show
lovely
and
little
tell.
animals that we have. And anyway, she's pretty awesome. She's a Catalua, Louisiana leopard dog. They also refer to her, and so smart. Like she sits and watch TVs with us, and like she'll sit, so she'll put her bum on the couch and two legs in the front, and she'll watch TV and bark for football, and she's
Speaking
pretty
of,
awesome.
happy Football Sunday. Seahawks are
Go
winning right
Hawks.
now. Go Hawks.
We're Seahawks fans,
and I'm going to fantasy playoffs. So woohoo! Second year in a row. Gonna get my money back.
She's kind of got a gift for it. I have no clue how to do it, but
I'm
apparently
really good. I'm playing with my boyfriend's family and I'm beating them all. I'm also the only Seahawks fan in a family of Patriot fans and Cowboy fans.
Yeah.
Which, if you know anything about, like, if you follow Seahawks or you follow Cowboys or the Patriots, you know that, like, those teams, we don't mix.
Yeah.
So, enemy territory, but I'm kicking butt.
Woohoo! Yeah.
Anyways, we've kind of hit our time. So, do we want to do any closing remarks?
I would like to. Yeah. So I just inspire or encourage you to maybe find some bliss sometime this week and anywhere, and think about the word and think about what it means to you.
Wake up every day and say, I'm going to be blissful. Make it a part of your
Today's gonna be a
vocabulary.
blissful day, a day full of bliss. But
And if you get the other meaning for it, good on you, you know?
yeah,
Let's bring it back. Hashtag bring bliss back. Bring the word bliss back.
So lighten up. Have a great week. Hopefully, we brought some light into your week, into your day right now. And
The light's coming in right now.
I think we say stuff like, like us, subscribe. I don't know, is that something that happens? But we're going to be doing this every week. So
follow along for more.
And if you want to share any of your happy, blissful stories with us, we'd love to hear. Our goal is to just bring more light to the world and hopefully into your lives. And maybe we can all do it together and lighten up the world. Bye.
Toodles.